So if you have any queries in my presentation, right, you may write an email to me. I will respond to you as well. If you have still queries, you can do there is an option called as chat option is available over here. I will try to answer here itself if you have any queries also. And I will move to the presentation. So my today's topic is welding on aerospace material. Welding of aerospace material. And in my total presentation, I am going to discuss about the three different types of material. One is on aluminum alloy, AA7475, and another one is the Hastel IX, and another one is the Nimonic 80A. And the last one is the new process called as VAM process. It is nothing but wire arc additive manufacturing, because nowadays we are moving towards the additive manufacturing techniques rather than the conventional manufacturing process. So all the slides, what are the contents I'm going to deliver today is the research works what we carried out at BIT. So these are all the work done by some BTech students, MTech students, and my PhD scholars in the past. So before I enter into the today's lecture, the basic definition, basically welding. So now, without this definition, we cannot start the FDP because the title itself welding. So define welding. So we know everybody very well. So welding is a material joining process. So here we are going to joining the two similar or dissimilar metal which produce collisions of materials by heating them to suitable temperature. So generally we know everybody very well, the material should be welded means we are going to melt the material at a suitable temperature. Here the suitable temperature in the sense like if you are using aluminum alloys, right? So the melting temperature may be the 500 to 600 degrees Celsius. If it is a stainless steel, you are going to melt the temperature up to 1200 degrees Celsius. Or if you are going for the nickel-based super alloys, right? So in this case, you go for more than 1400 and 500 degrees Celsius, right? So heating them to suitable temperature with without the application of pressure. So nowadays we have another welding process is called as the solid state welding process. Here we are doing the welding even without melting the material. So that is what here it is mentioned that with or without the application of pressure or by applying the pressure alone and without the use of the filler material. It is called as the autogeneous welding process. So it is a completely a permanent joints. Once if you made the welding, you cannot break the things, and if you want to break, you have to destroy the plate what you did the welding process. It is always a permanent joints. So where it is using, sir? Welding is there everywhere. Starting from your household things, you starting from the kitchen things to automobile to aerospace, everywhere the weld joints will be there to make a joints. As I told, it is a completely a permanent joints. So this slide shows the application of the welding.
Sir, audio is breaking, sir. Audio is breaking.
Yeah. So now you can see the presentation. Welding can be it has a wide range of application. You can see this video. Some vessels are fabricated. It is through the joining process, right? Some here the ship hull is doing the welding process. The construction of the automobiles, right? Car, everything is fabricated to welding process. And move to the today's topic is the application of aerospace industries, right? So the fabrication of the aircraft is completely possible by the welding process. It involves different types of welding process. Is it clear, Krishnan? Hello?
Yes, sir. It's
Yeah.
clear, sir. No
So
problem.
yeah. Now the manufacturing of the aircraft is completely on the welding process. It involves different types of welding process like electron beam welding process, laser beam welding process, fixed stir welding process, friction welding process, spot welding. There are a number of welding processes are involving to fabricate the aircraft. So here I was given in the slide, so the each and every component, right? So once after you do the fabrication, if you want to approve this component, right, you have to do this many tests, right? So each component wise I was given here. Fatigue, temperature test, crack test, corrosion test, right? So each and every component wise, what are the tests we supposed to perform after do the certain fabrication process or the manufacturing process to qualify the component to be put into line. So as I told you, so in aerospace application, right? Without aluminum, nothing is there because previously all the previously we started using the material called as the steel kind of things, right? Then in order to reduces the weight of the entire structure, right, it is only possible to go for either magnesium or the aluminum alloys, right? So you can see here there are totally 8 different grades of aluminum alloys are there. There are totally 8 different grades of aluminum alloys are there, right? So here you can see that 1x, 2x, 8x, right? So here, what I was mentioned here in the green color, it is possible to do with the friction stir welding process. What is there in red color is not possible to do the any kind of application. This particularly the 2x as well as the 7x material, it is called as the high strength aluminum alloy. It is widely used in the aerospace application, right? This material is possible to do weld by the friction stir welding technique only. So that is what here it is mentioned that. So what is called as the heat, what are the materials called as the heat treatable? The LEO is the 2x, 6x, 7x, 8x here is the heat treatable, and the green one is the non-heat treatable, right? This again the green, this one is called as the mostly weldable material. It is possible to weld, right? And 2 series and 7 series are not mostly welded by the fusion welding technique. It is possible to do by the friction stir welding process. So I move to the next slide. Yeah. So now you can see here, this is the application of aluminum alloys used in the aircraft. So as I told you previous slide, right? The 2 series. As I told you in the previous slides, right? The major application of 2 series and 7 series is in the aircraft application, right? It is called as the high strength aluminum alloy. 7 series and 2 series aluminum alloy is called as the high strength aluminum alloys, right? So here the strength of the aluminum alloy is equal to some of the stainless steel. For example, the strength will be almost 550 to 600 or 650 MPa of UTS. So that is the reason we are putting this 2 series as well as 7 series material in the aerospace application. Mostly in the 2 series as well as the 7 series material is fabricated through the friction stir welding technique. It is called as the solid state welding process. So you can see here, right? So as I told you, it is the solid state welding process. Why we are calling it a solid state welding process? Because here we are doing the welding without applying the without melting the material, by applying the pressure alone, right? So here the material is not going to melt up to the solidification temperature. The material is going to heat that up to 70 to 80% of the melting point temperature. By applying the complete pressure over the material is getting welded, right? And this is the this plate you can see here. So this is the welded joints, right? This is similar to the milling machine operation, right? So the most important thing is the tool actually. So the tool is generating the heat between this shoulder as well as the base plate, right? By stirring this tool towards the movement of this plate, applying the pressure, the material is getting joining operation can be taken place. Now, yeah. So as I told you in the previous slide, so this is the friction stir welding tool actually. So as I told you, right? So this portion is called as the shoulder region, and this is called as the pin region. Now, when you are applying the forces to this portion, right? Now, this portion will be, the shoulder portion will be, this portion will touch with the base metal, right? This tool will be completely rotating, right? So by applying the pressure, right, the tool should start moving towards the forward direction. The materials is getting melt. The materials is the base plate is going for, by applying the pressure. It is the joints are making as a permanent joints, right? So this is one of the study what we carried out almost a year before at BIT. So this material is the aluminum alloy 7475. So this material is replacing alloy 7075 in many applications. And another important thing is in the friction stir welding is optimizing the process parameter is one of the most important things in the friction stir welding process. If you see, right, so there are many process parameters are there. One is the load, force, axial load, forces, and speed, feed, right? So if all this combination, if you want to do the trial and error method, then only we can able to find the optimum parameter. So there are different mathematical techniques are there, right? We have used the box-Bekan method to optimize the process parameter, right? So, and as I mentioned you, some of the materials are difficult to weld in the traditional welding method, as I mentioned in the 2-3 slides before, right? As I told you, the 2 series, 7 series particularly, it is not possible to do the arc welding process because of the weld crack as well as the distortion, right, and the porosity. So in order to make the such a material, for example, the 2 series or 7 series, there is a welding technique called as the friction stir welding technique. It is also called as a green welding process. Why we are calling it a green welding process? Without making any kind of fumes, the metal is going to join. It is environmental friendly joints, right, with a high efficiency. You will get the very fine equiaxial microstructure, the lesser HAZ, and no solidification, cracking, and porosities are there because you are not going to use any kind of shielding, nothing will be there. So you can able to get the quality weld without any applying any external things like shielding or something else. So, as I told you, the high strength aluminum alloys, right? So, some of the aluminum alloys, for example, the 7475, the strength should be more than the 500, right? 500 MPa. It is equal to some of the stainless steel strength, equal to some of the stainless steel strength, some grades of the stainless steel strength, right? Or high strength alloy widely used for airframe construction, as I pointed out the previous slides, right? So this alloy 7475 is widely used for the construction of the airframe. So the some of the intermetallics formation, as I told you, like aluminum, magnesium, aluminum, copper. So during the welding process, they form some of the intermetallic phases, right? Those intermetallic phases, some phases will be act as a positive strengthening, and some phases will be deteriorate the properties of the weldment. So if you consider the material internal, aluminum alloy 7475, it is a high corrosion resistance material. It is a high fatigue resistance material. It has the high fracture toughness as compared to 7075. Sounds good for high temperature applications. And the aerospace, the application is upper wing skin, hinge and horizontal vertical stabbers. These are the application for the material 7475 in the aerospace. In general, we are using the H13 tool states. Sir, and another thing important I want to emphasize over here, like the friction stir welding is possible to do weld with only aluminum alloy. Can we go for the super alloys or stainless steel or some titanium alloys? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. One of the disadvantages over this is the design of tool. If you are going to do welding of aluminum alloy, right, you can use the H13 tool steel. So the each material, the tool cost not more than 1,000 rupees. You can make it from your lab itself. Using the lathe machine, you can do the different types of tool profile and do the heat treatment. You can achieve the 45 HRC, right? So the tool steel rate is very cheap. But if you are going for the material to do welding of nickel-based super alloys or titanium alloys, so what is happening there? If you see, we have to choose the tool material more harder than the base material, right? In this case, if you want to go for the aluminum, sorry, if you want to go for the supralloys, nickel-based supralloy, steel, or titanium, you have to go for the tool called as the PCBM or tungsten carbonate tool, right? The cost of the tool is very high, and we cannot give any kind of guarantee, right? The tool will run for such a long run. So that is one of the disadvantages in the stir welding, particularly when you are going for the supralloys or titanium alloys. But even if you do welding of supralloy with titanium alloy with the friction stir welding process, 100% the property is very good as compared to the arc welding process. So we did the surface response surface graph analysis, right? We did the 15 trials, right? And we optimized the process parameter, right? And we got a very good weld joints, right? So and here we after that we did the microstructural analysis, right? In the case of friction stir welding process, there are different regions of the microstructure. One is the stir zone nothing but the fusion zone, and adjacent to the stir zone is the TMAZ, and we have the HAZ, then we have the base material, right? So here I can see the material is the completely fine equiaxial microstructure, right? Because it has happened due to the dynamic recrystallization of the tool stirring actions. So adjacent to this stir zone, right, we have the TMAZ, right? The grains are not much fine grain as like stir zone, because the temperature of this particular region is not going up to the stir zone region. So here the grains are not completely refined and it become the dynamic recrystallization. And adjacent to this, the heat affected zone, here you can see the elongated grains, right? And the temperature at the HAZ is very less. It is the grains are almost similar to the base material. So this is the microstructure after the friction stir welding of aluminum alloy 7475. And we did the SEM EDAX analysis. As I told you in the past, in the 2 or 3 slides before, formation of intermetallics. So formation of intermetallics is one of the main thing, because this some intermetallics will give the positive to the weldment, some intermetallics will give negative to the weldment. So what is positive and what is negative, sir? For example, if the positive intermetallics are there, right, obviously the strength will be get improved. Suppose if the intermetallics is the negative intermetallics, it will reduces the affect the property of the weldment. Now you can see here we did the SEM EDX analysis. So you people all know very well the SEM is the scanning electron microscope, right? It is always attached with the EDAX, right? So used to find out the localized chemical composition at a particular point or in the area, whatever you want, right? So now you can see we did the copper play important role in the formation of intermetallic phases. So EDAX analysis reviewed reduction of copper in the matrix. So we did the both in matrix as well as boundary, right? So it shows that copper is reduced in the matrix. So if it is reduced in matrix, obviously it will move towards the boundary region. So in this case, the magnitude of segregation increases with increase in the temperatures because of resulted in the non-equilibrium type of the segregation. So zone with high temperature provides sufficient time to form the, if you have the high temperature, it will allow for slow cooling. Obviously, there should be some form of the intermetallics in the weldments. So after we did the SEM analysis, right, we did the hardness analysis to see how the weldments hardness there across the weldment, right? So we did the hardness studies at the base metal, heat affected zone, TMAZ, as well as the stir zone, and this is the retracting side and this is the advancing side, right? And here you can see that you can see here the hardness is very high at the place of the fusion zone. It is called as the stir zone region. Why, sir? Because here that microstructures are completely a refined microstructure. Here, in this case of TMAZ, the grains are coarser, right? In the HAZ as well as the base metal, the grains are still coarser. The refined, due to the dynamic recrystallization, happened at the stir zone, right? It increases the hardness value at the stir zone region. So, in fact, we did the XRD analysis to confirm the formation of intermetallic phases. So here we have find out the Mg, Zn2 as well as the theta phases and the ternary S phases Al2 through Mg. So are observed in both the specimen. The T phases character of 7 is not observed. This could be due to the low volume fraction to detect the some important phases we could not able to observe it here because of the low volume fraction. So in some places you can see here there is shift in the peak. You can see here there is a red color and there is a red color as well as the shift in the peak. It is continuously due to the recrystallization process. The higher peak is representing the stress residual stress level is high. And as I told you, the phase formation, right? So that can be evaluated by using the XRD analysis. So here we got the S phases as well as the T phases. The two S phases as well as T phases. S phase is nothing but Al2CuMg, right? And T phase is nothing but Al2Mg and Zn. These are ternary phases. So these phases are formed over the Wildman. Obviously, these phases will give the negative property. It has a detrimental effect to the properties of the alloys. And after that, we did the grain measurement. We measure the volume fraction of the grains in each and every zone. You can see here, this is the base metal, right? So in the stir zone, this can be calculated by using the XRD analysis, right? XRD analysis. The crystal size you can see here in the base metal, the crystal size should be 0.312, whereas in the stir zone, the grain size, the crystalline size should be 0.04. The grains are completely refined when you are applying the pressure and making the weld joints. And since this material is widely used in the aerospace application, so what we did, we have did the exfoliation corrosion study. So it is nothing but the seawater environment where the materials are put into 48 hours into the NaCl environment, and we have studied the corrosion behavior, right? So it is observed that obtained corrosion at the TMA is that we are getting the grading have the higher corrosion rate as compared to the other regions. Yeah. So outcome of these research works are published in this journal, friction-based joining process for high-strength aerospace aluminum alloy. So this paper was completely worked by SCA Nitin Joseph Reddy in collaboration with Dr. R. Satish Kumar and Dr. S. Jerome with the NIT Trichy as well as the CIT Coimbatore. So, anybody having any doubt? Shall I proceed for the next? Or shall I move for the next?
Sir, how did you calculate the dislocation density, sir? How did you
Sure.
evaluate the dislocation density? How did you
So
evaluate the dislocation density?
Yeah. This is through the XRD method, right? By using the Scherrer's formula, you have to calculate the
previous slide. Previous slide.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. How did you calculate these values?
Which values?
The dislocation density.
I think the value. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. This was calculated by using the XRD technique. This was calculated to the XRD technique, right? Using the peak, we have calculated the half width mean method will be there. So using that, we have calculated all those things using the Scherrer formula. You can refer this paper. The details, complete details for finding all the things are available with this paper. Okay. Hello.
Okay, so thank you.
Yeah. So somebody is asking what is the HN for aluminum alloys, right? So I think we have used the Keller's reagent. I remember, but in fact, I was not 100% sure. But you can find using this paper, friction-based joining process for high-strength aerospace aluminum alloy. Using this, this complete paper, complete manuscript is available here. What I was explained, the still more mechanism and details are detailedly written with this paper. Okay, so I hope I can move for the next slide, next process. Yeah. So next process is the cold metal transfer process, right? So this is uh, a new process developed by the Fronius. As I told you previously, the high strength aluminum alloys 2 series and 7 series are not possible in the fusion welding process because of some issues like cracking, all those things, right? So CMT, the Fronius is the manufacturer of the welding power source, right? Industry, right? So they have developed a new novel technique in the machine. It is called as a cold metal arc transfer, CMT, cold metal transfer, right? So it is a modification of conventional MIG welding process of the short circuit mode. This is the conventional MIG welding process. There is a different modes are there: a globular, a spray, and short circuit mode. Right. This cold metal transfer is arrived from the short circuit mode actually. So in fact, we also did a small study actually with the 7 series material. The previous one, 7475, we have recently we completed the study. We communicated the paper to the journal. It is actually under review, right? So cold metal transfer welding is a modified MIG welding process based on a short circuit mode developed by the Fronius Austria, right? So what is happening, sir? Actually, what is the cold metal transfer? What is happening? How it is different from the short circuit mode, sir? Now, I was given the explanation over here, right? So in the CMT process, when the electrode wire tip makes a contact with the molten poles, right? So you know very well in the MIG welding process, right? The electrode will come directly into the torch. When the electrode touching into the base metal, you are getting the plasma and it started melting. You are getting the permanent joints, right? Similarly, in the CMT process also, when the electrode wire make tip contact with the molten pole, there is a servo motor will be attached at the near to the torch, right? So it will take back the electrode wire. So here I was mentioned as a row Bacter drive welded torch is reversed by digital process control. So when it touching, right, the arc will be produced. At the time, the electrode will be revert back. In this case, what is happening actually? The materials which is melting, right? So it will be the heat input will be getting reduces. The spray, the particle which is coming in a very spray mode, not in a very bigger globular mode, right? So that you are controlling the heat input when during the welding process. In that case, the heat inputs are controlled and it is a reduced heat input as compared to the other welding process. In that way, the cracks, all the things are getting completely arresting when you are going for a 7 series material, which recently I had experience with that. I will show some of the slides also. So this is actually mechanism what I explained. So I got the schematic layout in the next slide. So this is the process actually, right? The process will be explained over here. Yeah. So now you can see here. Now the electrode is coming and it is meeting the workpiece. The second slide you can see it is touching the workpiece. So once it is touched, right? So the electrode is going back. You can see here it is going back. When it is going back, right? The spark is producing and it is falling downward direction in a droplet mode. So here, right, the droplets are very fine, right, and it is help to reduces the heat input to the metal to join, so that we can able to control the heat input. It will avoid the formation of cracking. So recently we did the study actually. Here you can see this is the macro graph actually. Here is the macro graph, right? So we did the same material, 7475, the two different types of filler material. One is 4043 filler material and another one is the 5356 material. One is on the pulse mode, another is a normal mode, and another is a normal MIG mode. You can see here, this filler material, I could not find any kind of porosity or crack or any defect, right? So 7475 material welding with 5356 is optimum. This is my observation with my recent studies. So here, when I go for the 4043, I was find lot of porosities and different issues are available here, right? I'm not recommending for this filament material to do the joining up 7475. And you can see here the weld bead, right? This is the normal CMT. The weld bead is high. It is almost 5.759 mm. When I go for the pulse mode, my thing is like 4.78, and it is normal GMAW. The width is very high. So the pulse CMT and CMT is providing the lesser bead width as compared to GMAW. This is purely because of the heat input played a role over here. When you have the higher heat input, obviously your width will be very high. This I will explain in the next slide. I will show some results also for the GTA welding process for the heat input. And this we did the micro hardness study actually, right? So for the same material, right? And here I can see the hardnesses keep decreasing. Hardnesses keep decreasing in the stir zone. The same material, when I go for the pixel stir welding process, the hardness is going peak higher value at the stir zone because of the refined grain structure. Whereas when I move towards the fusion welding process, the hardness is dropping for the high strength aluminum alloy. So this is the one of my observation what I noticed when I do the welding for the high strength aluminum alloy in the fusion welding process. So reference, so development of pulse cold metal, transfer and gas metal arc welding technique and high strength aerospace alloy. So this paper we worked almost a year, and we have drafted, and the paper is under review. So I was not disclosed many of the results what we obtained from this study actually. So there is some questions we use in microscope study in scanning electron microscope. No, the answer for your question. So macroscope is something different from the microscope actually. So microscope is considered as two things are there. One is the optical microscope, and another is the scanning electron microscope, right? So at the micron level, like the grain structures, all those things, what you can able to study in the higher magnification, you go for the scanning electron microscope, right? Macroscope study is nothing but like the photo what you are taking as a camera, what you are able to see in your naked eye. For example, I will show you. Yeah, these images are the macroscopic images. These images are the macroscopic images. After I do the welding process, I cut the material in the cross section, right? I will see what are the defects, how the welded beads are look like, right? This study will be done by the macroscopic examination. Whereas, so this is called as the SEM, right? So if you want to see any particles or any intermetallic phase formation, all those things, that will be evaluated in the very high magnification. You can go for a 1 lakh magnification also using the SEM analysis, but it is not possible with the macro analysis. I hope I answered the questions what was posted in the chat. Yeah. So, and nowadays, there is a new area of research is coming in the bigger way, that is called as the metal to polymer. As I told you previously, people previously they moved from steel to aluminum to reduce the weight, right? Still, now the composite is coming in a very bigger way. The composite is coming into the bigger way, right? For example, the carbon fiber composites and the strength is very good, like almost equal to aluminum alloy somewhere, right? So many people have started using the carbon fiber composites in different applications for the high strength aerospace as well as the automobile sector. Nowadays, the joining of metal to polymer is also one of the important research area, right? In the coming in a bigger way, because as I told you, still if you replaces the composite material, right? Still your weight reduction will be. Sir, what is the okay, I will answer your question. Please wait. Still, if you are replacing the composite material in the place of aluminum or stainless steel, right, your weight reduction is still getting reducing. Weight reduction is still getting reducing. For example, the aerospace application, aerospace industries. So, how long you are reducing the weight of the aircraft, right? The industry will get the more fuel economy, right? It is purely based on the weight of the aircraft, right? So now in fact we also started working on this area, metal to polymer actually. Yeah, so here are the some of the components, right? So this is for the some of the components, you can see here some of the components are fabricated through metal to polymer, right? So here again you can see here this is the metal and you have the polymer, and here you can see this is the metal and this is the carbon fiber reinforced some polymers, right? And here it is the metal and again we have the polymers. So people, those who are working in this area of fixed and stir welding, there is a good opportunity to collaborate with the composite people. Actually, in fact, I am completely handicapped with the composite. So far, I have published more than 60 or 70 international articles in the area of supralloys. Supralloys, particularly, I have worked with more than 10, 15 different grades of supralloy, right? But I am completely handicapped in the composite areas, right? So I don't know what is basic even in the composite, to be frankly speaking. But I am very good in the nickel-based supralloys, right? So that I have published a lot of papers and guided so many PhDs, almost 70. I have completed 6 to 7 PhDs also in the area of metal joining. But I'm not comfortable with the composite. Even though this is not composite is not my own area. Now we have started working on the welding of metal to polymer, right, in the composites, right? Because people having in the future there are wide applications there. Joining of metal to polymers. I will show a lot of applications also in the coming slides. So here you can see here, this is the manufacturing of the aircraft, right? So this is the manufacturing of the aircraft. So here, there are many parts, right? This is the some of the components. Here you can see here, this is a fuselage, right? So here there is a need of to join metal to as well as the polymer. Here you can see that this is a polymer and this is the metal, right? Now here the people are doing the riveted joints, all those things, but there are some technical difficulties are there when you're doing the riveted joints because stress concentration is very high. It will lead to cracking and many other issues are there. So in many places, this can be completely replaced by the joining process, metal joining process. So there are many different types of metal to polymer joints are there: friction stir welding, ultrasonic welding, laser welding. So sorry, metal to polymer friction stir welding, laser welding are there. But in general, the studies related to metal to polymer is limited. So if anybody is interested, you can start work on this area also. Yeah. Next, I move to the gas junction arc welding process. So first, I will touch the basics of the gas junction arc welding process. Then I move to the different grades of material what I have done in the past. Right. So this is called as the gas junction arc welding process. Right. It is also called as a TIG welding process. So we know very well the TIG welding process. It is one of the manufacturing process widely used, and majority of the industries are mostly using welding process throughout the global because it is very cheap, economic, right? So GTA and GMAW is the two welding techniques widely used in the throughout globally for any manufacturing process. If you see any components from the household things to aircraft, right? Definitely the TIG welding as well as the MIG welding welded joints will be there in your any part of the component, any part of the equipment, whatever it may be, right? So we know very well, right? The welding is happening because when the electrode is touching with the base material, right, you are getting the fumes, flames, that is called the plasma, right? You are melting and the joining is taking place. I told you one more thing at the very beginning, first slide itself. We can do the welding without adding the filler material. Yes, the gas junction arc welding, it is possible, right? When you are doing the welding thickness up to 3 mm, right? We can do welding without adding the filler material. In that case, we don't require to prepare any kind of groove like this. That name is called as the autogeneous welding. Like electron beam welding, laser beam welding, we can do joint TIG welding without adding the filler material, right? That is called as the autogeneous welding process, right? So if you see the welding, the TIG welding process, there are three different types of polarities there. So what are the three different types of polarities, sir? Right? You can see DC-EN, DC-EP as well as the AC current. So now, what is DC-EN, sir? DC-EN is the direct current electrode negative, direct current electrode negative, direct current electrode positive, and this is the AC. So now how the welding is happening, how the spark is producing, sir? when you are touching the negative with the positive, right, some spark is happening. So with that, welding is happening, right? So that is the concept behind it. Now, well, you are telling different polarities. Why different polarity is required? What is different polarity? As I told you, this is called as DC electrode negative. So here, the electrode will be connected to the negative terminal and the workpiece is connected to the positive terminal, right? So when I have the positive terminal, here the current supply will be more, I will get the more depth of penetration. You can see here, the weld pool will be like this, right? Whereas in this case, here DC electrode positive, when I have the case like this, DC electrode positive, right? The electrode should be connected to the positive terminal and workpiece should be connected to the negative terminal. In this case, I am getting the shallow penetration. I am not getting the more depth of penetration. So that is the difference between here and there, right? Then why these different types are there, sir? Because when you are going welding of aluminum alloy, right? We cannot do the welding. We cannot do the welding with the DCEN. We have to go for either electrode positive or the AC mode because the oxide layer will be forming over the oxide. This is a workpiece, and you are doing welding process. There should be oxide layer which is forming above the welding. So it is not possible parallelly doing welding and cleaning the oxide layer, right? So in that case, we are using the AC current or DCEN, DCEP, right? So the argon will bombard the heavy atom. It is knock off the oxide. The oxide film will be removed from the surfaces. So that is the reason here we have the DCEN and DCEP. So if you do any welding material, for example, nickel-based superalloy, stainless steel, whatever may be, we will go always with the DCEN. DCEN, so electrode should be negative and this is the positive. 70% of the current is here, so we are getting the more depth of penetration. Yeah. So there is a small variation of current in the conventional TIG welding process that is called as the pulsar current gas junction arc welding. So what is this pulsar current gas junction arc welding, sir? In the continuous current gas junction arc welding, we are supplying the heat input continuously. The heat input rate is very high. How you are telling the heat input rate is very high, sir, in the GTA mode? Whereas in this case of PC GTA, the heat input is very less. So how you are telling? Now, we can see this graph, right? It is going up, down, and then again some base is there, again up, and again it is down, right? So in the continuous current, it will be look like this, the continuous line, the current, constant current you are applying, right? You are not allowing for solidifying the, you are not allowing to solidify the material. Whereas in this case of PCGTA, right, the welding is taken place in the peak current. The welding is taken place at the peak current, right? Immediate after, you are allowing for cooling. You are allowing for the cooling, right? And it is getting dropping, the current is getting dropping. So you are allowing for the cooling so that you are getting the very fine microstructure. I will show you the difference. Also, the HAZ are also very narrow in the PCGTA as compared to GTA welding process. Yeah, so you can see the difference. The same welding machine, same parameter, you can see the difference, right? So this is the fabricated through GTA and this is fabricated through PCGTA. Now you can see here, I am able to see the columnar dendritic structure. Whereas here, you can able to see the equiaxial dendritic structure. The formation of this variation is due to here you are allowing immediately to cooling once after the welding is happening. So that is what I told in the previous slide. So here you are doing the welding, immediately you are cooling. Cooling process is taken place, right? So that's why once it is getting cooling very faster way, right, you are getting the very fine equiaxial dendritic structures. Whereas here, you are not allowing to cooling the solidify the material immediately because you keep applying the current continuously, right? It is not possible to form the refined microstructure. As well as the HAZ that you can see here, you can able to see the coarser grain structure. Whereas here, the base metal microstructure as well as the HAZ microstructure is almost the same. Because here the narrow, you are allowing the narrower heat input. Here it should be a very wider fusion zone. Yeah, so this is what I am supposed to tell, right? So this is one of the aerospace material Haskell X. I will tell you the picture slide where the application of this material. You can see the difference in the GTA, right? The cap is 10.8 mm. The PCGTA, the cap is 9.1 mm. whereas here it is 4.6, here it is 3.6, and here the weld bit is like this, and here the weld bit is like this, because it is purely based on the heat input compared between the GTA as well as the PCGTA welding process. And this is the EBST analysis we performed to know the grain sizes at the HAZ region. So here in the HAZ region, the grains are coarser. You can see here the IPF mapping. So here you can see the coarser grain in the GTA, whereas in this case of PCGTA, the grains are completely refined. It is similar to the base metal microstructure. So that is the advantages of PCGTA, right? This also help to improve the property of the weld joints. And we carried out the XRD analysis, right, for a GTA as well as the PCGTA, right? Here the phases formation is completely suppressed. The negative phase formation is completely suppressed actually in case of the PCGTA. And this is the tensile strength. As I told you, welding can be done without filler material and with filler material. So this is without filler material. And this is the GTA and this is the PCGTA, and again this is the GTA and this is the PCGTA. This is GTA and again this is PCGTA. You can see everywhere the PCGTA is having the higher tensile strength, 746, here 763, compared to this filler material MO3 688 706. Here MO4 you can see 766 815. So similarly, the micro hardness also you can see here. You can see here, as compared to GTA, the PCGTA having the more micro hardness than the GTA welding because of the fine microstructure at PCGTA welding process. So due to time, I will just skip the advantages as well as the disadvantages. So you can see my research articles on TIG welding, particularly of TIG welding of comparative studies on TIG and PCT for different grades of material. So these are all my few of my publications. It's available in the Science Direct. You can download and you can see the things. Yeah. So if you have any doubts in the welding process, if anybody having doubt, please you may ask the question before I move to the next slide. There was one question, sir, what is the pressure applied for welding? Sir, it's purely based on the material. It is purely based on the material, as I told you previously, right? Depending upon the material, the process parameter will keep change. We cannot say you have to do welding with this pressure, it is not possible. You have to do the bead on plate trial, and based on the bead on trial, which one you got succeeded, from the parameter you have to optimize it, you have to do for the welding process. Sir, if you having any doubts, shall I move? Yeah. So my next welding process is the TIG welding. Material is the Hastelli X actually. That is nickel based supralloy. So now this is one of the aircraft material, right? It is widely used in the combustion chamber. And this is the aerospace engine gas turbine. There are two different types of gas turbines with there. One is land based, another one is the aircraft engine, right? Land based in the power plant sectors. So this is a gas turbine of aerospace, right? So this material is material is used in the combustion chambers, and this Hastelli X is used in the thrust reverser. So this is the thrust reverser. You can able to see here. This is the thrust reverser, and a high temperature gas cooled reactor and tile pipes in the aircraft. And so this is the JT9 turbofan engine. So application of this Hastelli X material, and basically this is called as the nickel based supralloy, right? So always the nickel based supralloy having a lot of issues. Sir, Usually the super alloys are good resistance to corrosion, very good high temperature application, very good property at room temperature as well as high temperature. Yes, obviously, if it is the base metal, right, without making any kind of change in the microstructure, definitely it will be very good. Okay, but if you are adding to some alloy, if you are doing any kind of manufacturing process, for example, in my area is the welding. If I do the welding, I am completely changing the property of the base material. I am making the microstructure not in not in a homogeneity. In the weld structure, in the weld center is not homogeneous, whereas the base metal is completely homogeneous. I am changing the homogeneous base metal microstructure to the different structures. I'm changing the microstructure, different structure. When I'm changing, I'm doing the melting operation, right? When I do the melting, it will go for the temperature near to the melting point temperature, and it started solidifying. Means from it is converting to the solid state. When it is coming to the room temperature, the fusion zone having the lot of changes in the microstructure as well as the properties, right? For example, we are adding different alloying elements. Nickel, nickel is the matrix element. Along with that, we are adding the different alloying elements like chromium, molybdenum, tungsten, iron, right? So each alloying element will give some properties. Chromium will give good resistance to corrosion. Molybdenum tungsten will provide a good strengthening, right? But when I do the when I do the welding process, right? So these elements will react in a different way. I have to control the elements and I have to choose the proper welding process, proper filler material. So, as I told you, yeah. So this is the Hashla X. So basically, this is the nickel. The major alloying elements are chromium, iron, as well as the molybdenum. It is basically a solid solution strengthening element. The material will stand the strength up to 1200 degrees Celsius, right? So it is possible. It is possible to do welding. It is possible to do welding with GTA, GMA process or laser welding, any process also. We have studied the GTA welding process. And as I told you, this is a major element of alloying matrix is the nickel, is the matrix element. Along with I have the chromium, iron, molybdenum. So this is the major alloying element. So others, some of the small amount alloying elements will be there, right? When I do the welding, these fellows will change their properties. I will show you the difference in the IRAX. So when we did the literature survey, we have observed that the major problem is associated with the formation of secondary phases, right? Sigma and P. The sigma phase is mainly due to the enrichment of chromium, and P phases is mainly due to the enrichment of molybdenum. So this lead to formation of M23C6. So this is the XRD analysis. We can able to find the allying elements actually. Sorry, secondary phase formation. The phase formation can be find out by using the. I think this is XRD. Sorry, I think this is the IRAX element, but they put it as a phases. Okay, fine. So we can able to see the secondary phases what is forming. So in this material, when I do the welding, this is my problem. Formation of M23C6 and new phases is a problem. So these phases will lead to the cracking at the weldment. When the cracking is happened, my weldment is getting failure. I have to control my cracking. So I have to choose the filler material, right? So here you can see here the cracking. You can see the cracking. So this cracking can be controlled by proper selection of the filler material. So in this present study, I have chosen the four different grades of the filler material. Here NaCr MO2, MO here NaCr MO1, 260, and all are the nickel-based filler material, right? So I have to give the justification why I was choosing this filler material. For example, this here NaCr MO2 filler material I was chosen. Why I chosen? Because in general, the welding will be done with the help of the base metal filler material, most of the cases, right? So Here NaCr MO2 filler material is the base metal filler material for Hastella X because the chemical composition of both is same. So next one I have chosen here NaCr COMO1 filler material. Here I have chosen cobalt as well as the. So cobalt will provide a very good strength actually. Good strength. This is also recommended by one of the manufacturers, Nature Special Metals. And 263 filler material, again I have the cobalt as well as titanium, which will form the strengthening precipitates. It will improve strength, right? In this case, 263 provides a very good strength at height. And here NaCr3, here I have the 2% of niobium is there in this filler material. So here everything is highlighted over here. 2% of niobium is there. When I having the niobium in my material, what will happen? Niobium having more affinity with carbon than chromium. So chromium carbide M23C6 is the issue with this material. If I use the niobium rich filler material, before the chromium is going to combine with the carbon to form the chromium carbide, it will go and combine with the niobium, it will form it NB niobium carbide. So this will help me to improve the strength of my weld joint. So that is why I have chosen this different filler materials, and I studied the behavior of each weldment, strength, intermetallics, all those things. So you can see the different passes of the welding. So actually we have did this GTA, PC, GTA, PC, GTA, GTA, PC, GTA for 4 different materials. So combined I have the 8 weld joints. So in this I can see the PCGTA having the less width of the tools. You can see this is a GTA and this is a PCGTA. GTA, PCGTA. PCGTA having the narrower weld bead with the lesser width as compared to the GTA welding process. And I could not find any kind of crack in my weldment. So the process parameter what I was chosen is optimum to fabricate this weld joint. So again, here I can see the microstructure. As I told you previously in the GTA and PCGTA, so here I am getting the austenitic microstructure completely. Because why I am getting austenitic microstructure? Because my filler material is austenitic filler materials, all are nickel-based supralloy, right? So I am getting the cellular structure in the GTA and the finely taxed dendritic structure in the PCGTA. You can see the difference, and HAZ is very high, very here it is 155. Here you can see the 58. So that much variation you can able to see when moving from the GTA to PCGTA, and similarly you can see the other weldment also. So we did the SCM EDAX analysis. As I told you, in this particular material, the major problem is the formation of intermetallic chromium carbide formation. So this will lead to the crack in the weldment. So I have did SCM analysis, right? So here you can see this white color. Here this is the GTA and PCGTA of NaCr MO2 filler material. So this is the GTA and corresponding EDAX, and this is the PCGTA. SCM and corresponding EDAX, and you can see here in the CM, the GTA case, there is a white color precipitates are there, right? So this is nothing but the intermetallic phase formation. So these intermetallic phase formation, but secondary phases actually. So when I see here, so such kind of phases are not there. Means the PCGTA, the formation of intermetallics is completely suppressed when I use for NaCr MO2 filler material. These values I listed in the next slide. See the better understanding. So here you can see in the weld dendritic core and intermediate we did the elemental analysis. Here you can see the molybdenum segregations have happened, 43.21, whereas in this PCGTA such segregation is not there. So now these white color precipitates are richer with molybdenum. So these are the molybdenum rich secondary phases. So this may be a P phase or mu phases, what it may be. And when I go for the NaCr through MO1 filler material, here I can see some sort of secondary phases, small white color particles are there, right? I have and similarly here the PCGTA such precipitates are not there. And here you can see here again it is a moly rich precipitates, and here it is a cobalt. As I told you, when I selecting this MO1 filler material, my main intention is the selection of cobalt, aluminum, and titanium. This will improve the strength of my weld joint. So I was highlighted in the green color. So this will help me to increase my strength with the when I move to the PCGTA welding process. And this is the case of 263 filler material. So here you can see the intermetallics. So it is very beautifully coming out. So the intermetallics. You can see here these intermetallics. So when I did the intermetallics are richer with the chromium element as well as the molybdenum element. So here it is the sigma as well as the P mu phases are forming. But when I move to the PCGTA weldment, all the intermetallics are completely arrested because here it is the fastest solidification happening. You are not allowing to formation of any such kind of the segregation in the weldments. So this is here NaCr3. So here NaCr3. Here also I am getting the. You can see here white color pairs are there. Here it is a little only very little bits are there. And here you can see here it is segregation are richer with chromium and molybdenum, all those things. Whereas in this case of PCGTA, right, these kind of segregations are completely arrested. So we did the XRD analysis, right? So what are the phases formed? So our XRD results are completely matching with the IDAX analysis, right? So here I can able to find the MO2 GTA M66. This is mainly due to the molybdenum rich segregation, and here I am getting nickel, chromium, cobalt, molybdenum. This will provide me a good precipitate, strengthening precipitates. So similarly, in all the cases of PCGTA, I am getting a positive intermetallics, whereas in the case of GTA, I am getting a negative intermetallics. So similarly for the other filler material, and we did again the grain structure analysis, using the Hall-Pitch equation. So here, using the Schiller formula, right? So when I move to the GTA to PCGTA, PCGTA, the crystalline grain structures are reduced to 8%, 16%, 13%, and 7%. This is witnessing that PCGTA having the refined microstructure as compared to the GTA welding process. And we did the tensile study. So here you can able to see the fractures have happened over the weld center because in this case because of the formation of negative intermetallic phases as well as the segregation. Here some cases the welding the fracture has happened away from the base material. It representing that the PCGTA here and SRC M1 filler material having a very good strength as compared to the base material. And similarly, this is for the another filler material. So yeah, the tensile values are compared here. So as I told you, joint efficiency you can see here. The GTA having 96% of joint efficiency, in the PCGTA having 100, and here 97, 101, 89, 92. So in all the cases compared to GTA, the PCGTA, the joint efficiency is high because of two reasons. One is refined microstructure, and second is the absence of formation of secondary intermetallic phases. And we did the impact toughness studies also. So everywhere the PCGTA having the marginally higher improved toughness value because of the refined microstructures, and similarly the micro hardness analysis also. So here overall it is observed that the PCGTA with here NaCr MO1 having the very good hardness value as well as the strength as compared to the other filler material. So now, so this is the reference and outcome of this was published for the Journal of Materials Design and Application, the SAGE publication, and authored by the Satish, and I am the guide. This one is going to submit this thesis actually. So and his other paper is published in the Journal of Manufacturing Process. It is almost a 4 impact factor journal. So yeah, there is another material. I move to the next material. It is called as mnemonic ATA or alloy ATA. We can call this a mnemonic ATA or alloy ATA. But we did a very extensive studies with this material. But as of now, I am focusing only on welding part now. So this material having application of gas turbine. The turbine first stage, the turbine blades are fabricated through this material. Alloy ATA is particularly designed for aerospace application. It is also used in the nuclear power plants such as boiler, tubes, etc. As exhaust valves in the IC engines also. So this is the application. You can see the photograph. The first stage of the gas turbine. This material is usually used to fabricate the blades. So Basically, this is again a nickel chrome alloy. It is a precipitation strengthened alloy. The previous material was the solution strengthened, and this is the precipitation strengthened alloy. The precipitation strengthening is obtained by adding the elements like aluminum as well as the titanium. So this is the in the nickel based super alloy. Aluminum as well as titanium will be added to made as a precipitation strengthening. For example, 718 is again the precipitation strengthening alloy. You may aware the material is a commonly used material in 718. So, what is the problem, sir? When I'm doing the building of this particular material, what is the problem, sir? So again, the cracking is happening because of the segregation of chromium, right? And it will lead to the formation of Cr23C6. Chromium secondary phases are forming. So it will reduces my mechanical property of the weld joint, and this will affect my corrosion properties also at high temperature. So I have chosen, I need to choose the proper filler material to resolve the issues, what is happening during the welding process. So here I was choosing the filler material of three different types. One is 263, MO3 and ARNACR3. So in this case, the justification of each filler material was given here. Maybe I will share this slide to everybody because due to running of time, I'm just moving to the next slide. So base metal again I get the austenitic microstructure. So in the G as compared to GTA, I'm getting a refined microstructure in the PCGTA, and I am getting the equiax dendritic structure at the equiax dendritic the fusion center as well as columnar microstructure at the away from the weld zone, right? So I will inform you. You can kindly go through the material like Sindaco, building metallurgy by Sindaco. So in the material, that book, there will be very good explanation will be available for the microstructure analysis. Why columnar structure is happening, why equiaxial dendritic structure is happening. Because I don't have time to explain those things. I can say the only word is a thermal gradient. Thermal gradient, because variation in the heat along the weldment, there is a difference in the microstructures are absorbed in the fusion zone. I can say only one line word, it is mainly due to the thermal gradient. So you can see refer the book Sindaco, and you can refer why these different types of microstructures are happening within the same weld zone. And similarly for the other filler material, yeah. So as I told you, the cellular structure, why it is happening, why the equiaxial dendritic structure is happening. So cellular and columnar dendritic structure, it's a breakdown of planar solid liquid interface structure in the interface region of thermal gradient. As I told you, one word is a thermal gradient. The grind growth will be low in the fusion line, means the fusion boundary region, as the temperature gradient is steepest at this region. In the equiaxial dendritic structure, the thermal gradient is low. Effect of pulsing current, low heat input, faster solidification will lead to the formation of the equiaxial dendritic structures. So we did the tensile study actually, and we have everywhere the fractures happen at the weldment zone. So everywhere you can see here, as compared to GTA, the PCGTA is having the highest strength. It is mainly due to the refined microstructure, as pointed out in the previous case. The similar mechanism is applicable for here also. And yeah, we did the same factography. We observe that the fracture is completely a ductile mode of fracture, right? It is completely a ductile mode of fracture because of the microvoids with elongated dimples and all those things. And when we did the micro hardness value, the hardness at the fusion zones are less as compared to the base material. So we have started analysis what is the reason behind it. So for that we did the SCM redax analysis, right? So you can see here there is some sort of the secondary phases are observed. I will put the same value in the next slide. So you can see here the interdendritic zones. I observed that the molybdenum rich and chromium rich phases are observed. Segregation is observed. So this is the reason of the less tensile strength of GTA. And similarly for PCGTA, that the segregation of chromium is completely arrested. You can see here the same filler material 260, the chromium segregation is there. Whereas in this case of here, the chromium segregation is completely absent. So this is what the PCGTA is superior quality weldment as compared to the GTA weldment. So this is for another filler material. Again, I can see a lot of secondary precipitates are observed here. So the secondary precipitates are richer with niobium and titanium because I was choosing this material, filler material because of the presence of niobium. Because the problem associated with this material is the formation of chromium carbide precipitates. When I have the chromium with chromium having more affiliated with the carbon. So if I have the niobium having more affiliated with the carbon than compared to chromium, it will form the niobium carbide instead of the chromium carbide. So my results are coming to the mechanism, the scientific knowledge, what I applied was correct. I was not finding the formation of molybdenum segregation or chromium segregation. I was found niobium segregation over here. And this is for another filler material. PCGK case also the similar trends was observed over here. So this is another filler material. Again, my major issue is again the chromium segregation is there. So here the chromium segregation was completely absent when I moved to the PCGTA weldment process. So this is the overall comparative of the three different filler materials at different zones. So here I can see that the GTA, the chromium segregations are very high, right? As well as the molybdenum segregation also there. Whereas in this case of PCGTA, such kind of segregations are completely absent. So exogenous analysis, again my results are in line with the DAX analysis. Some cases the chromium segregations are absent, so it avoid the formation of Cr23, C6 in the some filler material. For example, when I go for here and I say MO3 filler material, such kind of Cr23, C6 phases are not observed. Instead of it, I will get it for the MO secondary phases, Fe, MO, C6 phases. So again, the crystalline grain size analysis was carried out. So here also it is inferred that the PCGTA having the refined microstructure, and there is some percentage of like 5%, 15%, and 4% of crystalline grains was reduced as compared to the GTA welding process. So you can see the detailed studies with this one of the papers authored by Subramani and myself. So development of welding technique to suppress the micro segregation and aerospace grade ATA by conventional current welding process. This is one of the article. And this is another article, International Journal of Minerals, Metallurgy and Materials. Right, again, my PhD scholars who completed in the last year, Subramani and myself. So one of the most important things there, when doing welding of arc welding process, particularly in the arc welding process, the selection of filler material is important. You may know that I was each and every study I was choosing 4 to 5 filler materials, and finally I have concluded this is the best filler material because of absence of these phases. So in general, the filler material can be chosen by the two way. One is equal to the base metal filler material. In every study, I was choosing one of the filler material should be the base metal filler material, and another one is the overalloy filler material. So overalloy filler material means the composition of the filler material is higher than the base metal filler material, right? Where the material is exposed to high temperature application, sometimes we will go for the overalloy filler material also. So we did the studies on alloy 686. Actually, this is autogenous welding. And in the autogenous welding, I can able to see the precipitates, white color, right? This is richer with the molybdenum elements. You can see here molybdenum. So this is for PCGTA of same autogenous. I could not find any kind of segregation because it is completely arrested because of cost of cooling rate. You can see here the segregation is nothing. But when I go for the GTA, I have the segregation of molybdenum. I was choosing another filler material, MO10. Here and I say MO10 filler material. So here again, I could be able to find out the segregation of molybdenum. In this case of same filler material, the segregation is completely absent. So again, the segregation play a role for the corrosion also. So we did since the material having a marine application, alloy 686, it is one of the highly corrosion resistant material. So we did the corrosion studies on the marine environment, right? So wherever the segregation is higher, as for example the GTA to PCGTA, right? The GTA having a more corrosion. In these two cases, you can say the corrosion is high. And compared to these two cases, the corrosion is high in the GTA. And compared to these two cases, the corrosion is high over here. When you compare these two cases, the corrosion is high. So this is mainly due to the effect of the microsegregation. So next I will move to the last topic of today's lecture, wire plus arc manufacturing, because why I am touching upon this part. This is now related to the study, but even though I am touching this, why I am touching this part? Because nowadays we are moving towards everything is additive manufacturing. We are moving towards the additive manufacturing will help to reduce the manufacturing time, material, everything. So we are slowly moving toward additive manufacturing. The plastic materials are completely succeeded almost long before. Now we have started working on the metal additive manufacturing. So since my area is, as mentioned, is the building, so I use the welding technique to fabricate the component by using the additive manufacturing technology. That is called as the wire plus arc additive manufacturing. So people, those who are doing PhD or planning to do PhD, or those who are working in the area of welding, planning to move for the other area, this is one of the best area to work for another 5 to 10 years. Wire plus arc additive manufacturing. So it is we can use the same welding machine power source, either TIG, MIG or plasma, right? And the setup is same. Only thing is you need an automated setup or robotic hand to hold the torch. That's it. So again, it is a completely automatic TIG welding equipment. Setup is layout for the same. And global scenario, if you see, very few countries have started working on this WAM technology, particularly WAM. WAM means wire plus arc additive manufacturing. We are using the filler material to melt and developing layer by layer to obtain the components. So United Kingdom, Holland, these are some of the universities who's working more on the additive manufacturing in the globally, actually. So there are very less patents are there in the global scenario. Germany, UK, Japan, China, South Korea, and US having the patents, many number of patents in the wire plus arc additive manufacturing technology. So why it is because even now the powder based additive manufacturing also there. But what is the advantages of WAM technology as compared to powder based research? It is suitable for manufacturing large scale. WAM printing process individually less expensive, material saving cost. WAM technology can deliver near net shape as component. Because when you're going to manufacture a large component, if using the powder technology, you have to use two way. One is laser or electron beam. The cost is very high, as well as the powder you have to procure from the particular supplier to make the component, and you have to do powder layer by layer very slow manner. Whereas in this case of WAM, we can use conventional TIG welding filler or MIG welding filler to melt and develop and deposit in the very faster way. And as I told, the cost is very less because you are using the power sources TIG, MIG or plasma. So material can be saved. WAM technology can deliver a near net shape. Finally, we can do some kind of nesting operation. So this is the cost comparison studies. This is the cost comparison study of powder based as well as wire based. For titanium, Inconel 625 and 316L. You can see here the powder cost is very high as compared to the wire. So limitation: no commercial available system. The heat management is a challenging task. Shielding is required for developing components like titanium, because even it is not possible to do welding with titanium because there is an issue with the shielding, all those things. So same issues are there even here also. So why WAM? So WAM system can reduce the fabrication time by 40 to 60 and post machining time to 20% depending upon the components. So this is one of the major advantages of the wire plus arc additive manufacturing system. So you can see here, this I think this is the UK University, I think Cranfield University has fabricated the landing gear. So the flight landing gear is completely fabricated by the wire plus arc additive manufacturing technology, right? So they can save 78% of the raw material. So what is the 78% of the raw material? How you are telling? So usually if you want to fabricate any component, you have to cast it, then you have to remove layer by layer. Here we are going to add layer by layer whatever things we need. So only we need is the robo. When you have a robo with us, filler material, we can melt it and you will get the component whatever you want. So what are the industries are looking for this technology, sir? Defense, aerospace, automotive, and many other industries in the coming days. So WAM establishment in India, what is the situation at India? So Indian IITs and IST, DRDO, CSIR play a major role for developing a technology development for WAM. So we need to set up a state of art of laboratory for this technology in the institution. So aerospace and defense industry is going to be a major benefits. If you write a project proposal for the defense and aerospace sector, definitely will get the project for the MAM technology. There should be a huge opportunities for the MSME also. And this is one of the component I was developed by using the VAM technique. You can see the thick wall component using Inconel 617 filler material. So this was deposited, printed layer by layer actually. This is a substrate and this is a component. So here I was cut out and take it out. This is a component actually. So you can see the cross section, it is look like a plate, but this is not a plate. This is a complete filler material melted by layer I deposited. I got this shape. So it is similar to the characterization, also similar to the welding actually. You can measure the accuracy, surface radius. These are all some of the study you can perform after do the wire plus arc welding manufacturing. So same like tensile strain, corrosion study, residual stress, fatigue life component, all those things are possible to study. So thank you for listening my presentation. If you have any question, I can answer your queries. You can type in the chat option also, or you can write the email also. Audience? Hello?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Yeah. Sir, how do we fix the optimized volume of filler material? That was the question, sir. How do we fix the optimizing the filler material? So, how do we see? How do we fix the optimized volume of filler material? Right. So, if you are taking a groove, right? So, welder know he will fill the weldment groove with a layer by layer actually. So once it reaches to the top, the cap, so they based on the current how you are fixing, the filler material will melt accordingly, right? So according to that, you will get the number of passes. So if you are doing the manual welding, the welder will know, he know very well. So how many passes he want to supposed to go and finish the weldment of such thickness plate. If anybody having any question, you may please ask. Krishna?
Yes, sir.
I think nobody is asking any question.
Okay, sir. We'll be
Otherwise, I will conclude this.
yes, sir. We'll be conducting an assignment after the session. So the link will be
Okay.
shared to everyone via Gmail, the mail which they have provided.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
okay, sir. So we'll let you know.
So I will send you the slides. Okay. To your coordinators.
Okay, sir.
So you may circulate the slide to the who attended this meeting. Hello.
Sure, sir. Someone has asked you
Hello.
mail ID, sir.
Yeah, it is there in my first page of my presentation itself.
Okay, sir.
Yes, nobody is asking any question. I don't know whether it is completely understand or nothing is understand. Yeah. So you can see my email ID here. gmail.com Okay. So shall I wind up the session? Okay. Thank you for participating in the presentation. I will share this PPT to everybody. So through the coordinator, if you have any doubts and my contact details, everything is there in my presentation. If I write an email, I will respond to you. Thank you once again for the opportunity. Thank you very much. Thank you for everyone who attended the session.
Thank you, Dr. Manigandan.
Krishnan?
Thank
Yeah.
you, sir.
Shall I close the?
Yes, sir. We can end up the session, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
That's okay. Participants, you will receive the mail for the next session by tomorrow morning. It is mandatory for all the participants to participate in the session 5 days. So make sure that you take up the assignment to get the certification. The uh, session will also be public. Shortly, you will receive the mail with also with the assessment link. Please make sure that you are completing the assignment to receive the certification. Once again, thank you, Dr. Manikandan sir, for the presentation. Thank you, everybody.